Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now July 3rd of 2023. We are inching closer to the 4th of July, but even more importantly about the overall progress of the Indy 5 box office results is that we have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning on the horizon by July 12th. That's really gonna bring, numbers way down quite sharply for the Dial of Destiny. Disney knows this, Lucasfilm knows this, but people out there like Spielberg, Kathleen Kennedy, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge seem to really be very much naive about that. Let's get into it. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And well, let's get right into what's going on here with Steven Spielberg. Now, we know a lot of people out there associated with Disney and Lucasfilm have been getting very defensive over the box office results and the projections and the fan backlash and the fan criticism. And we have people like Kennedy, Phoebe Waller, Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, and now the latest Steven Spielberg about getting very defensive over the box office results, the returns, whatever have you, about the Dial of Destiny. Now, look, let's be honest, we have a lot of people out there that hate this film, but there's also a good portion that I've come to realize that actually found the film to be okay and tolerable, but at the same exact time, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Helena was very much an insufferable character in this film. But let's get right into all of this, alright? So, moving toward everything related to Spielberg is that with Steven still protecting Indy 5 in various ways, he recently actually acknowledged about the box office results for the film and began to get very defensive. Spielberg stated the following: "There is no doubt in my mind that this film was well received. We have had nothing but great feedback from fans about this movie, and the naysayers and haters of this film are just a minority. But you are always going to get that with any film. It's no different than any other movie out there. And we can't just dwell on box office projections and results, because those aren't really exact down to the number. It's really not as bad as the media is making it out to be financially. We did really well this past weekend, and as we had, of course, into this week, we have no doubts that we are going to be performing even better. Myself and Kathy remain optimistic of also hitting and obtaining that 1 billion worldwide goal is what we aimed for with the budget that we poured into this film anyway, and I really have no doubt that we will get there, or if not, very close to that. Really, I feel that we made this film to be a better directed film than both Crystal Skull and The Last Crusade. Mangold directed the hell out of this thing, and you can really see it on the screen." So let me stop here for 1 second before I get to the next piece that he goes over, is that, do you guys notice this common trend? It's almost very robotic, very mechanical of a response for Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and now the latest, Steven Spielberg, just flat out saying, yeah, no problem, we're gonna hit that $1 billion mark, or, yeah, if not, we're gonna get close to it. Well, how do you define close? Is that gonna be like 300 million, 400 million? Anyways, when we look at stuff like Bob Iger, his job is on the line. We talked about this too today. But one thing about Spielberg is that this is a guy that is the executive producer of the film. So it makes sense why he would be saying these things. It would be a different story, by the way, if perhaps maybe somebody else was saying this, like Mads Mikkelsen, which has, by the way, been very quiet about this movie. Haven't heard a peep from the guy. And given that he was associated with Rogue One, a Star Wars story, a very popular Star Wars film, and how you also in this film, by the way, have Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is in Solo, a Star Wars story, you can see this common trend by Kathleen Kennedy of starring a lot of either Marvel actors or Star Wars actors in other franchises basically related to that. Now, look, we know that Kathleen Kennedy is all about casting British females at the forefront. That's her thing. That's a Kathleen Kennedy-driven thing over at Lucasfilm. That's her idea. We've gone over why she likes to embrace that before in the past. I mean, if you look at all these different examples of characters, Jyn Erso in Rogue One, Kira in Solo, a Star Wars story, Rey in the sequel trilogy. And in here you have Helena in Indy 5. It is a very odd, very much intentional trend that's driven by Kathleen Kennedy to cast all of these brunette, female, British individuals to be the main character, essentially. Now, I don't know why that's a trend specifically down to the core, but we know why. At the forefront, it is a part of her agenda. Now, moving to the next thing here, all right, on top of this, he goes on to state further, and we are all so proud of him, he says. We are always going to deal with fans that are disgruntled with our efforts and claiming that this film won't succeed financially. But right now, we don't have a worry in the world about that. A 1 billion milestone is really not out of this world. We have great promotions available through Applebee's and for fans to afford a ticket in these trying times, and we just want fans to get back into the theater, and what better way to start it off with Indiana Jones. We are still discussing sequels on our end to continue this brand somehow, but it all is a matter of baby steps. Gotta do that carefully and slowly, it's a process. Now, guys, about Kathleen Kennedy on her trend of, like I said before, having all of the British brunette females as the main characters or a very prominent role in these Star Wars films and now Indiana Jones and stuff like that. I have nothing against Emilia Clarke. I have nothing against, all of the others that played all these different characters. And it's really all down to the writing, and it's down to the directing of these movies and how they're executed. We really can't fully blame the actors on that. I feel that, honestly, when you look at Rogue One, A Star Wars Story specifically, alright, that movie really was probably the only major Star Wars film that was a success under Kathleen Kennedy, alright? I mean, let's just be honest about this. We know that Kathleen Kennedy otherwise has failed one after the other. Felicity Jones, I think, did a great job. I have nothing against her, but there is a pushed trend there. There's no doubt about it. But Helena, in this movie really is another example of that. And Steven Spielberg really seems to be out of touch with the reality. Either he's really just out of touch with everything, or he knows what he is saying is just pure lies. There's no way in the world that this movie is going to hit the $1 billion mark worldwide. I just don't see it. Now look, they could pull a rabbit out of the hat. It's possible. Let's be honest. Anything is possible, but this just seems like it's mission impossible. Alright? Now, I don't see them obtaining that goal at all. Because we got Mission Impossible 7 debuting July 12th. If you count down the days, you've got the rest of this week, which is like 5 days if you don't want to count today, and then after that you got 2 to 3 days until it hits its pre-night, or its pre-night sales, essentially on the 11th. So MI7's gonna crush this thing, there's no doubt about that, and that's where things begin to really tumble. So guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear